Welcome to the Carbonite Jedi, where the Force will be with you always. Now, in today's video, I found an article that came out 2 days ago, and it talks about the Kathleen Kennedy throwing Kevin Feige under the bus. Kevin Feige is the head guy of Marvel for Disney, and Kathleen Kennedy is the head person for Star Wars in Disney. So a lot of things have been going on, a lot of news. The Mandalorian just wrapped up season 3. I liked it. And Ahsoka should be coming out here pretty soon, in a couple months. And let me get to the article. The article is from cosmicbook.news. So I'm going to share my screen. Share. Okay, there it goes. All right. It says Disney's selling Star Wars. That's a huge thing. Kathleen Kennedy throws Kevin Feige, Marvel, under the bus. Kennedy gets called out for recent comments about Feige's Star Wars, with insiders offering Disney could sell Star Wars. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy is caught red-handed throwing the head of Marvel, Kevin Feige, under the bus in regards to Star Wars and Lucasfilm, with additional claims about a meeting with Disney CEO Bob Iger that might mean Disney is selling Star Wars. It has been claimed that Bob Iger wants to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy. They should. That's my opinion. And that the two are butting heads about it, as Kennedy doesn't want to leave Lucasfilm and wants to stay on for another 5 years. Please, no. You know, they should bring somebody else in who is a Star Wars fan, Star Wars aficionado. You know, producer and writer Producer and writer Cameron Pasha has said that Hollywood friends of his have informed him of how the original plan at Star Wars Celebration was to give Kennedy a big send-off at the request of Iger, but instead, in order to try to save her job, Kennedy concocted her own plan and announced the new Daisy Ridley Star Wars movie, which Pasha claims won't happen. That's a huge bombshell, because Kathleen Kennedy came out at the Star Wars Celebration in Europe and said, we have this new Star Wars movie coming out. It's going to have Daisy Ridley. They're even talking about John Boyega maybe signing on, who they shouldn't sign on after he pooped all over Star Wars and everything. Anyway, Pasha claims this movie will not happen, in which sees Kennedy directly challenging Iger. Regarding Kevin Feige, Cameron Pasha revealed from insiders that both Kathleen Kennedy and Kevin Feige had meetings with Bob Iger prior to Star Wars Celebration. What was Kevin Feige's Marvel meeting about? Well, Kevin Feige's meeting is said to have dealt with how Bob Iger is slowing things down with Marvel and putting budget restrictions on the MCU projects, including the movies and the Disney Plus shows. Scooper Jeff Snyder first revealed the information about the Marvel restrictions, who also said in February that Kevin Feige actually wants to be the #2 at Disney and take the job of Alan Bergman, the current co-chair of Disney Entertainment, and boss both Feige and Kennedy, which if happened would mean Kevin Feige would be Kennedy's boss if she stuck around. I'm sure that wouldn't sit well with her. So what was Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars meeting about? Regarding the meeting Kathleen Kennedy had it with Bob Iger, it's claimed that Iger didn't put any restrictions on Kennedy's Star Wars projects, which is surprising, as it is said Kennedy went way over budget on Indiana Jones 5. And we can add that none of her Star Wars movies have come to fruition since the release of The Rise of Skywalker 4 years ago. Which, that's true. It's thought the meeting was about Kennedy having her Viking send-off as she announces her retirement from Lucasfilm. Oh, Luke drinking the green milk. Ugh. Is Disney selling Star Wars? Cameron Pasha actually put it forth that since Iger doesn't care what Kennedy does with Star Wars, he thinks Iger could actually be thinking of selling Lucasfilm while keeping Marvel. Hence the Marvel restrictions, as Iger is trying to right the MCU ship and save Disney billions of dollars at the same time. Pasha points out his experience working in TV, as he says, while working on various shows, he would get a lot of studio notes, but once the notes stopped was the time to worry, as it meant the studio no longer cares and the show would then get canceled. So that could mean, since Iger doesn't care what Kennedy is going to do, Disney could be selling the Lucasfilms. Oh my gosh. Man, that's crazy. I'm trying to think who might buy it from him for billions of dollars. We can also add that since it is claimed the original plan at Star Wars Celebration was to give Kennedy a big send-off before she retires following the release of Indiana Jones 5, Iger also might not have talked with Kennedy at the meeting about any restrictions or plans for Star Wars, as Kennedy wasn't supposed to be involved going forward, as Kennedy is or was supposed to exit from Lucasfilm this summer. Yes, go. It's now said Iger is going to have another face-to-face meeting and go over what happened at Star Wars Celebration, in addition to polling data showing that fans are not excited about any of her new announced projects. What about Kathleen Kennedy at Kevin Feige? Well, Kevin Feige has been developing a Star Wars movie, which would probably be cool, with his Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and Loki writer Michael Waldron. But it recently has been said to have been canceled, along with the Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron, which I was really looking forward to. What is odd is that at the Star Wars Celebration, Kathleen Kennedy was asked about the Kevin Feige Star Wars movie, where she said the following: Kevin Feige's project was something announced in the press, or I guess fandom, but there was nothing ever got developed. We never discussed an idea because, as everyone knows, Kevin is a huge Star Wars fan. And if, he did come up with something, I would be all ears, but that's never really happened, so it's not an abandoned project, it just didn't happen. Now recall how Cameron Pasha recently said that for the first time the Hollywood trades have been giving the go-ahead to attack Kathleen Kennedy, where he thinks it's coming from Iger's camp, as the trades have written articles one after the other bashing the Rey movie announcement. Puck News, run by the former editor of The Hollywood Reporter and entertainment lawyer Matthew Baloney, said to personally know Bob Iger, blasted Kathleen Kennedy over her Kevin Feige remarks at the Star Wars Celebration. Who's Kathy kidding? A lot of rolled eyes at Marvel this weekend after Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy downplayed the recently shelved Star Wars project that was in development from Marvel's Kevin Feige, says the article. The article continues and mentions that the Kevin Feige Star Wars project was and still is very much real, and that Kennedy was not only aware of it, she actually received periodic updates on its status, including when Marvel go-to Michael Waldron was hired to write it. The article also points out that, in fact, far from being something announced in the press or the fandom, whatever that means, it was actually Alan Horn, Kennedy's boss, when he was running Disney Film Group, who announced the project himself. So we see that what Kathleen Kennedy says about Kevin Feige's Star Wars project doesn't make sense, as Disney hired and paid a writer to work on the movie, which was announced by their previous boss. Baloney also says Kathy was never enthusiastic about the Feige project and continues blasting Kennedy in the Puck News article. Feige is by far the most powerful creative executive at Disney. His success in Kennedy's sandbox would be hugely embarrassing for her, especially given all the problems on the Star Wars films going back to J.J. Abrams' rush job on The Force Awakens. The mid-shooting firings of director Phil Lord and Chris Miller on Solo, the pre-production firing of Colin Trevorrow on The Rise of Skywalker, all the filmmakers that could have come to develop at Lucasfilm with much fanfare and departed after a frustrating process, and the other failures of franchise management that I've written, writes Baloney. Cameron Pasha adds that at the meeting between Kennedy and Iger that took place prior to the Star Wars celebration, Kennedy threw Marvel and Kevin Feige under the bus. Pasha claims his insider Sparrow filled him in that Kennedy stated to Bob Iger that Marvel hasn't been doing well of late, which Pasha thinks was a way Kennedy was trying to save her job, as she's blaming Marvel for Disney's financial woes, as again, Iger is targeting $5.5 billion in cost savings, so Iger should be blaming Marvel and not herself, Star Wars and Lucasfilm. Quoting Sparrow, Kathleen Kennedy has been trying to shift the economic woes for Disney to Marvel and their team. She is throwing Kevin Feige under the bus, hoping to save her own skin. It's not working, but apparently, and here's the kicker, but apparently her future is somehow tied to Lucasfilms, and if it is sold off before she escapes, she can be let go with nothing. Pasha adds, why would Kathleen Kennedy be talking about Kevin Feige? Why would she be in his business? Why would what he's been doing matter to her? And I said, well, the logical thing is because, you know, if she's afraid of losing her company, which is what Sparrow's saying, it's because it's going to come down to her company or Marvel, and so she's trying to throw Marvel under the bus. Whew, that was a long article, but Kathleen Kennedy has, ever since she stuck her nose in The Mandalorian, I have lost all respect for her, and she is not my favorite at all. I think they should get Dave Filoni to become the president, and he would be able to direct Star Wars or Lucasfilm in the right direction. I think we would have some fantastic movies and more fantastic series coming out. Kevin Feige, I would love to see his Star Wars projects. I mean, you know, Marvel has some really good movies that come out. I mean, some not so good, but some that are really good. And I think he could do some amazing things in the Star Wars universe. But, you know, if Disney's selling Star Wars, just give it to Dave Filoni, man. or someone else that can, you know, take it from the dumpster fire that we've been seeing lately for all the movies. But what are your thoughts about the Kathleen Kennedy saga of throwing Kevin Feige under the bus? And what are your thoughts about Disney selling Star Wars? I really want to know. I find it very, very interesting. I had not heard a peep or anything else until I read this article. And if you're still with me, thanks for hanging around and listening to my me read the article and discuss it. And for the rest of you, may the Force be with you always. Have a great day, and I will speak to you soon.